You're listening to Brave Girls with Tracy M., where we choose to empower you to be a better leader, mentor, and coach in the world. We'll share stories of people who have achieved great heights by overcoming adversity and rising to the challenge, all while pursuing their passions. These courageous people will inspire you to have faith in yourself and take bold action. Right here with the host of Brave Girls, Tracy M.
Episode 57, Demand Support with Molly Bowen. Meet Molly Bowen, a friend of Megan Urban's from episode 43 on today's Brave Girl podcast. I love our conversation and I'm grateful for this new connection. Molly practices law and writes books in Wimberley, Texas, while farmsteading with her husband and 3 sons. She wrote her first book, Mommy Lawyer, to teach her children about her career, but more importantly, to give herself and other mommy lawyers a tool to help teach young children to be more understanding, supportive, and proud of their working mother. Mommy Lawyer is the first of a series of children's books dedicated to developing a more compassionate and supportive relationship between working parents and their children. Molly knows firsthand the challenges working mothers face when trying to balance both career and motherhood. She took the bar exam 9 months pregnant with her first child. A few days later, her son was born, and Molly landed a job at a fast-paced litigation firm. 2 more baby boys followed, and within 3 years, Molly was juggling a heavy caseload at work and 3 little boys at home. After taking the time to teach her children about her career through Mommy Lawyer, Molly discovered her children were less disappointed and more understanding when she occasionally missed a special day at school or didn't make it home in time to tuck them in. While we may never fully eliminate mommy guilt, Molly hopes this book will help children see their working mothers' careers in a more positive light. Molly shares why we should all be strong female role models for our children and other women in the workforce. We also talk about work-life balance in the world of work today and how important it is to be grateful. One of her greatest lessons from the move to the Texas Hill Country is to wake up every day and choose happiness wherever you are. We also talk about how she bet on herself and asked for what she wanted and was able to get it. She shares why you need to demand support, a concept promoted by Sheryl Sandberg in her book, Lean In. Molly's personal story and the lessons she's learned on her journey as a practicing attorney and mom are truly inspirational. I hope you agree. So let's go meet Molly Bowen.
So welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. I'm excited because today we're going to be talking to Molly Bowen, who is Mommy Lawyer. She's written a children's book and she's getting ready to launch a whole series of mommy books. She's from Soulshine Press, LLC, and she lives in Wimberley, Texas. So welcome to the show, Molly.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to meet you and to have you on the show. And we've met through a mutual friend, Megan Urban, and I know that you guys are living in the Hill Country of Texas. So is that where you grew up?
No, I am. I've been here about 3.5 years now, and loving it. And it was a big adjustment from Houston. I grew up in Houston.
Okay.
And went to UT in Austin for undergrad and then moved back to Houston for law school and ended up working there for 7 years and could not wait to get back to the Hill Country. So we finally made that big move in 2015 and we're just loving it here. We have 3 little boys and bought 26 acres and it's just, it's been a dream come true to be here.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So what inspired you to write this book?
Well, as I said, I have 3 little boys. And for me, being a lawyer, I've never not been a mom and a lawyer. So just to give you a little bit of background, I became pregnant in my 3rd year of law school. And I, as far as I know, was the only one in my law school class that was studying for the bar exam pregnant and, about to have a baby and also trying to wrap up something that was really important to me as far as school is concerned and start a career. And it was a very kind of scary and exciting time in my life. I was not married And I was very much in love with the man that is my son's father and now my husband. But at the time, we were both just trying to finish school, and, things just happened out of order, which turned out to be the biggest blessing. And it always happens that way, right? It's not according to our plan, but that was just, something very significant that happened to me. And when I took the bar exam, I was 9 months pregnant and had my son a few days later. And
Wow.
shortly after that, landed my first job at a fast-paced litigation firm. So I never really knew what it was like to be a lawyer and not a mom, or be a mom and not a lawyer. It all just happened right at the same time for me. And within 3 years, I had 2 more little boys. So all of a sudden, I was a young mom too. I had my first son when I was 25, which is young for today's standards.
Yes.
And had 3 little boys and a heavy caseload at work, and was very much in a sink or swim kind of environment with my law firm, which I loved. And I was determined to be the best young associate I could be, but was, just trying to keep my head above water at the time. And so that's kind of what started the idea of this book for me. It was really just trying to find a way to help my kids personally understand what it is to be a lawyer, because when they were in preschool is really when the idea came about for me. I just think the law in general, or being a lawyer, is sort of an abstract concept for kids to understand. It's not as easy for them to understand as doctor or teacher, which is a career that they kind of interact with as a child. They have teachers or they go to the doctor, but being a lawyer was, I would tell them I have court today, or I have a deposition or a hearing, and they, were 3 and 4 years old and just really didn't understand. So I was like, I wish there was a book out there that I could, that was on their level, that would help them understand what being a lawyer was. And there wasn't. And so I decided I was going to write it just for my kids. And then once I did, I realized it was something that could help other mommy lawyers. And throughout the process of writing it, at first it was supposed to be just sort of like a teaching tool about being a lawyer. But then it really evolved into more of a message that I wanted to send to them about having a working mom and the ups and downs and the challenges that come with it. But really sending the message that having a working mom is a good thing, and it's something to be proud of. And so that is really the crux of the story in Mommy Lawyer, and why I decided I want to make it into a series, because I think being able to teach your child about what you're up to while you're at work is a really great way for them to be more understanding and supportive of you while you're at work, and understand why maybe you don't get to pick them up from the carpool line every day, or even sometimes you miss bedtime. So for me, that was, kind of what started it, is just having a way to explain to my kids why I'm not at every single school party. Because I don't know if it was like this when you were growing up. When I was growing up, my parents came to school like maybe once a year for some maybe Christmas show or something. And nowadays it's like I'm asked, there's some event that I'm supposed to be present at during the working school hours, work hours, at least once a week. And then I have 3, so it's like multiply
times
that by
3.
Right. And so that was another thing I was trying to address. My middle one in particular is more sensitive than the other 2. And he just would fall apart if there was any event at school where other parents were there and I wasn't able to make it. He just lost it. And so I would start having pep talks ahead of time and say, okay, today you're going to celebrate, I don't know, you're going to have a Thanksgiving feast at school with your friends. And guess what? You're going to be out of school next week for Thanksgiving, and we're going to have a big feast with the family, and we're going to celebrate together. But today's the day you celebrate with your teacher and your friends. And there might be other parents there, but your mom's not going to be there because your mom has a job. So I was just really trying to address some issues and challenges that I was having as a working mom with young children. And once they got it and understood what I was up to at work, I felt like they were a lot more understanding and even supportive and proud of the fact that they had a working mom.
Yeah, I think that you're onto something, because I do think the vast majority of women these days do, out of necessity, work. I think that the more you can explain to your support system, which includes your kids, what you're really up to, the better, like, the flow of communications is, right? And
Right.
I love that you have like a book that's written at their level with great illustrations so that they can relate to it.
Right. I mean, during this process, when I was sort of drowning, still living in Houston, not seeing my kids, I had a nanny that basically lived with us, and I was into, trying to figure out how we're going to change our situation. This is where part of the moving to the hill country and figuring out a way to transition to be a work from home mom this kind of idea started to develop. But one of the books I read was Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And, her message to young moms in the career, young working mothers was to not step aside when you have young children at home. Don't, not raise your hand for that promotion. Lean in and really push yourself through those early years so that you can demand flexibility from your employer and really push yourself ahead of in your career path instead of compromising your career because you have children. And I really loved her book, and I loved what she had to say about demanding more support from your employer and more flexibility from your employer. I felt like I had proven myself as an associate and proven my value to the law firm. And so I wasn't afraid to leave work on time or leave work early if I needed to. And another big aspect of her book was demand more support at home domestically, whether that's hiring help or asking your partner for more help. And both of those things are essential, I think, to survive as a working mom with young children. But for me, there was one missing piece, and that wasn't, so I didn't have work guilt and I didn't have spousal guilt. Like, I didn't have any problem telling my husband or my employer, look, I've got to get out of here and go take care of my kids, or we have a doctor's appointment or whatever. My biggest thing I was struggling with was my kids, not understanding why I wasn't there for every special moment throughout their day. And so the other piece of that trifecta, I think, is just really having a conversation with kids, with your children, about what it is that you do and why you're not with them all day, and helping them understand that you have two jobs, and your first job and your most important job is taking care of them and being their mom. But your other job that's also important to you and is whatever your career is. Mine happens to be a lawyer. And I think it's important to show your kids that you can follow your dreams and have a career and also have a family too.
Yeah. And so a lot of times I think, at least my generation growing up, it was either you work or you're a mom. And I think really you can have both, but it is about demanding the support from both where you work and at home.
Right. And asking your kids for that support when they're at an age that they can understand. But it's made a huge difference in my relationship with my children. And I hope it helps other people if they really get down on their level and teach them. For example, what I do as an attorney is we help people whose homes are damaged from hurricanes or storms. Hurricane Harvey was huge. We did Superstorm Sandy in New York and New Jersey. Now we're doing Hurricanes Maria and Irma in Puerto Rico. We just opened a Puerto Rico office. So I'm having to travel to Puerto Rico about once a month now. And for me, what, worked for me was I showed them pictures of all the damaged homes and buildings and the flooding and what these people were dealing with in Puerto Rico. And now if someone asks my kids, why isn't mom here? Or, if I miss something while I'm out of town, on one of my trips, my son knocked his tooth out and was at the dentist, and, I'm having to deal with that from Puerto Rico, but he told the dentist, well, my mom's in Puerto Rico helping people whose homes were damaged. So he gets it now, and he knows that what I'm doing when I'm not with him is important too.
That's wonderful. And because you have boys, I think that that's going to be so critical when they become men who get married and have wives and daughters, and that their perspective is going to be so much different because you've educated them around all of it. Right?
Absolutely. I think it's super important for little girls to have strong female role models, but just as important for little boys too. I think that when little boys see strong female role models in their lives and grow up to be men, they're more accepting of women in leadership roles.
Yes.
And that's really something I'm trying to instill in my boys. But yeah, hopefully, I think they get it.
That's great. That's really, really good. So are you still with the same firm from Houston, or did you go out on your own, or are you just working for a different firm now as you travel and do this insurance type work?
So I'm still with the same firm. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to, from the get-go, like I said, I landed this job right out of law school with a new baby. And it was a very female-oriented law firm. So I did not have to deal with, at least in my own firm, the good old boys club, things that a lot of young female associates have to deal with. And it's a very real thing that still exists. My mentor, Amber Mostyn, she kind of took me under her wing as a baby lawyer. And I don't know if it was taking me under my wing or throwing me to the wolves, whichever way you want to look at it. But she just threw me right in there and said, you're going to go do this deposition. You're going to go do this hearing. And has always allowed me the flexibility I needed as a mom, and pushed me in my career at the same time. And as long as I was getting my work done and adding value to the law firm, then I was given the flexibility I needed to be a parent too. And that was huge, huge for me.
Yeah. And I think there's no coincidences either, right? The fact that you were able to land at that firm and have a mentor like her. And now, but yet you recognize that it's not that way everywhere. And so I think your Mommy Lawyer book is probably helpful for those young associates who are maybe in a different or more traditional law firm that is the good old boy network. That I think a lot of organizations, though, not just law firms, are starting to come around and realize that with the internet, we can do our jobs anywhere, really. As long as we have a cell phone and a computer connection, having to have your butt in a seat from a certain time frame is not necessarily the way you measure value in terms of what someone brings to the organization. So I feel like it's shifting a little bit from even like the last 10 years. So, and I think more and more people, as long as you're getting your job done, even if you are willing to log back in at 9:00 at night after you put your kids to bed, you're getting the work done, right? Yeah, you might have to leave at 3:30, but guess what? You're working probably more hours in terms of your work ethic and what you're giving back. So you're really fortunate.
I think so. I know it's a rare situation where an associate gets to work from home like I do. And I think it's becoming more prevalent, but I know I'm lucky, and being tied to a desk is not the best use of my time. And I think I'm more productive working from home. There's no distractions, and I just get done what I need to do each day. And then the work-life balance is huge. And I think that if more employers were willing to be progressive and allow their employees that kind of flexibility, they'd be surprised at how productive people can be, and the employee morale and just,
Absolutely.
Work-life balance. It's all about lifestyle.
I would agree. Yeah. So what is it like living in Wimberley?
Wimberley is a really cool town. And I don't know what kind of drew us to Wimberley, but like I said, I was in the rat race in Houston. We, lived right outside of the loop, but still would sit in traffic at least 45 minutes to an hour each way. And with babies at home, that was just 2 hours of my day that would kill me. And so it took about 2 years, but during that time, I was listening to podcasts and I was reading a plethora of self-helpery, just trying to figure out and get clear on what it is that my next step is, and how am I going to get out of this situation? Because I knew we weren't happy there, but I didn't really know what that meant, or if it was location or job or what needed to change. But my husband and I both really loved the hill country, and we kept coming here, and I kept just saying, we're going to live here soon, and I don't know how we're going to make a living doing it, and I don't know how we're going to get there, but I would just really vividly see that. And I just think that, at the time I didn't really understand laws of attraction and manifestation or any of that stuff. But since then, I'm a firm believer in just when you have a very clear vision of what you want your life to look like, it all conspires to get you there. So
I agree. And I think, what's the most important thing is to have that vision and not worry about the how, and to just surrender, because
Right.
the universe will conspire, and the universe will shut certain things down, open certain things up. I mean, I've had it happen in my life as well, where I just said, I want this, I want this, I want this. I see it in my life. I see myself there, and you visualize yourself there. And then boom, the next thing you know, things happen that you can't even make up, or it doesn't transpire the way that you think it's going to. And so you have to surrender and give up all that. So I think it's great that you were able to manifest this, because it's got to be a great place to raise kids.
Oh, it's a dream. The school district's wonderful. It's right outside of Austin, which is my favorite city. We built a barn that we live in, and we have animals, and the boys ride dirt bikes and go-karts and have a tree house. And it's just been really, really an amazing lifestyle change for our family. And it wouldn't be possible if my husband's self-employed and I'm able to work from home now. And I'm just really, really grateful. There's so much gratitude every day about being able to live this life.
Yeah. And I think the more gratitude you have, the more blessings come your way.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think that, so for me, it was, is this big move what's going to make us happy? And once we got there, it was really a lesson for me in, okay, well, now you've walked away from your amazing nanny that was like a grandmother to your kids, your support network in Houston. My parents lived there, and you moved to this little town where you know no one, and you have 3 little boys, and you still are working full time. So that was stressful in and of itself, even though it was like one of the best decisions we've ever made. It was also a very hard first year. And I think just realizing you have to wake up every day and just choose happiness and choose gratitude, and realize you need to be happy wherever you are, and it's not a destination. That's one of the things I've learned the most in the last few years, I think. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, you don't have a 2-hour commute, it doesn't sound like. So you got 2 hours back in your day that you can use for you, whether it's meditating or praying or journaling or doing yoga or just taking a hot bath and like taking care of yourself, so that you can be the best mom you can be, as well as the best attorney for your clients.
Exactly. And I used it for writing this book that I had this idea about a long time ago. And it really took me a long time, a lot of late nights and early mornings of just, tinkering with it. And then I went to a conference for children's writers and illustrators in Austin and just got inspired there. And it was just sort of a process that I finally one day had to make a decision. Are you going to do this or not? You keep talking about it, saying you want to do it. You have this idea that just keeps calling to you and it's not really going away and it's not going to write itself, Molly. So I just made the decision, okay, this is something that I want to do and committed, promised myself I was going to get it done. And I'm so happy that it's here finally. And I don't know, it just felt like it was, like I said, for so long, I was just a mom and a lawyer, and I was either got my lawyer hat on or I'm a mom. And I didn't feel like I had anything else in my life that was just sort of mine and could be my passion project or something. And so this was it for me. And I really am so happy that it's finally done and out there, and sharing it with other mommy lawyers has been the best part of it.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to make sure that we put a link in the show notes so that if anybody listening wants to buy Mommy Lawyer for themselves or for other mommy lawyers, and then they can also follow you at mollybowen.com, correct?
Yep, mollybowen.com. They can order the book there. They can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Molly Bowen Books. And I'm really hoping to add to the series this year. I want to do Mommy Doctor and Mommy Teacher this year. So that's the goal. And I eventually am going to do a dad counterpart to all of those books too, because there's a lot of working dads out there that need the same support from their kids.
Absolutely. So my finale question is always, what's the bravest thing that you've ever done and how does it inspire you today? So you talked about taking the leap of faith to move to Wimberley, but what other things have you done that have just been really throughout your life that you feel really you had to have a lot of courage to do?
Well, one of the things I would point to is the decision to finally get the guts to tell my boss that I'm moving. And, my husband's self-employed. He does very well, but my job in Wimberley or in Houston was really what was keeping us there. And I had the benefits and salary that was very steady, whereas he was growing his own company, and that was scary to think about walking away from a very steady, well-paying job with great benefits and people that were very good to me as a young working mom. And like I said, my mentor sort of just took me under her wing and helped me become a good female lawyer straight out of law school. And I was grateful to her. And I really struggled for a long time with walking away from that. And finally, it was right after the first of the year, in January of 15, we had been looking at property. We wanted to put an offer on something. And I just finally had to say, I'm going to just take a step back, be a better mom, do some contract work from home, and we're going to move. And I was expecting to be told, well, thanks a lot. Have a nice life. We enjoyed working with you and good luck, best of luck. But she, and my bosses allowed me to stay on and work from home. And that was a lesson for me. And it was really scary. It's a very competitive law firm that I work for. And I was just really expecting to be told, okay, well, good luck.
Have a nice life. Yeah. Tell us how it goes.
Yeah. And I had some contract work lined up for myself, but it really wasn't anything comparable financially to what I had in Houston. And a lot of people thought I was crazy to walk away from it, but she called me the day I sent the email and said, I want to talk to you. I want you to stay on with us and we'll work with you and you can work from home. So that was a lesson for me, and life's going to give you what you ask of it. If you never ask for what you want or go for it, then it's never going to unfold in the way that you're imagining it will. And so that was really something that took a lot of courage for me.
Well, you were willing to bet on yourself.
True.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Because you had enough confidence in and determination and clarity around what it was that you needed to be the best you. You knew you wanted to be a great mom. You knew that sitting in your car for 2 hours a day wasn't working for you. You knew that you had given your best as an associate and full attorney for this practice. So you were willing to bet on yourself in that moment and then ask for what you want. So good for you, Molly. Good for you.
And I think more recently, just coming out of the literary closet and telling people about this book that's just been this thing on my computer for 3 years has been, that took some courage for me because, for one, I was worried, okay, is my boss going to think that this is, I'm working on this and I'm not working hard enough for her? That was scary. And finally, one day I just had to tell her about it. And guess what? She said, I think that's a great idea. And I'm so proud of you for writing this. And, she's very supportive of working moms. So I think that the fear, you just allow it to build up inside yourself and become this whole thing that's not even reality. And then once you just pull the trigger and get past it, then wonderful things happen and you get the support you need and the reassurance you need that you're making the right decision and you're on the right path. So just being out of the closet, I think, of okay, I'm going to start calling myself an author and I'm going to actually go for it and do this thing that was really important to me and not keep it balled up inside and share it with people. That's the whole point of writing it, right? So, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you did. And look at all the opportunities that are coming your way, just even to include this podcast. And I mean, this podcast has been downloaded in 27 countries. There's women out there that are looking for your next book in your series. And so I just hope you keep going and keep doing that and keep, I'm glad you're out of the closet and I'm glad you're writing these books because I think, the fact that you went looking for it and it wasn't there just tells me that there's a void in the marketplace and that there's a need and the timing is right and who better to do it than you. And, I'm just so glad that we came together and I just, I've enjoyed talking to you today. And I think that I look forward to following Molly Bowen and her career as an author, as well as a mom and a lawyer. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate you having me. And you're right. This is just another exciting part of putting myself out there and sharing these ideas with other females, moms in the workforce. So I'm really excited.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. as much as I did creating it. Each show is produced with you, the listener, in mind, as you look for inspiration and motivation from other brave souls as you pursue your desires. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave me a review on iTunes. I read every one. And check out my website, tracym.com, for more free resources. You can also join my list and sign up for my newsletter right from the homepage. Until next time, stay strong, believe in your dreams, and go do something brave.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. and hope that you enjoyed the show. For more information about today's episode, as well as additional free resources to help you achieve greatness in your life, visit tracym.com and sign up for our mailing list. Until next time, dream big, believe in yourself, and let your brilliance shine as only you can do.